Here on Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Plays channel and all your favorite social media outlets there from both of those outlets. And of course on today's show, it's always guest driven. We have our Pick Dogs right now in the green room. A lot of free picks coming up from all the major sports. Tonight we're going to have an NBA, an NHL, and 10 Major League Baseball games to bet on top of the hour, and we'll get to that in just a second. But I'm going to bring in welcome to the show our co-host to start us off here, as we got a big game coming up here at the bottom of the hour, and of course, so we're going to go ahead and bring them in. Co-host here, Dana Lane and Joe D'Amico. Dana, how you doing this afternoon? We got some afternoon baseball going on. Mets are in action. I know a lot of the Pick Dogs will have their eyes on this giant Colorado game.
Yeah, interesting. Last night, 23 runs by the Giants, and of course, all eyes were back on them today to see if they could continue their offensive explosion, which they did. But the Rockies, of course, are trying to get their way back into the game, still down to a couple runs at last check.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Joe, we got a couple of big NBA contests going on tonight. We're going to be tipping it off pretty soon here at the bottom of the hour with Miami, Milwaukee, OKC, and Houston. So things starting to liven up over in the sportsbook here in Las Vegas now that we're getting closer and closer to football.
Absolutely. You know, we're still in MLB, NHL, and NBA mode, but there is action coming in. I see a lot of people. I was back on the strip again this morning early. See people opening up their phone accounts, making sure their phone accounts have a lot of money in them. And I see people asking for, odds to win it all, futures bets on college and pro football. A lot of people a little up in the air with the college football. They don't know exactly what's going on. So some of the sportsbook personnel here in Las Vegas doing their due diligence. They're making sure the customer service is right on point. They're helping everybody out with what they need, as usual, here in Vegas. There's a lot of excitement, though. I'm looking forward to football. I know we're still in baseball, hockey, and basketball mode, but I'm really looking forward to football season. I'm excited to be on the show with my buddy Dana Lane, one of my oldest friends in the world. I don't know him that long. He's just really old. No, one of my oldest friends in the whole world. One of my oldest friends, one of the people I respect most on the planet as a human being and in this business. I'm just honored to be on the same panel with him finally, Dana. Thank you.
Joe, that is a lot of retort to come up with, but I have to tell you, I appreciate you picking up the slack the other day when somehow I couldn't find an internet signal, and it resulted in no sales at all, but I do appreciate your efforts.
Very
My
good.
brother, your reputation speaks for itself. I was just getting the word out there.
All right, guys, we're a lot of picks coming up on the drive-through. All our cappers from Pick Dogs will join us here with some selections. We'll take it at the top of the hour for the games. But one game here that's going to tip off at 6:30 Eastern time. I want to get to the NBA game 2. Miami and Milwaukee here. Up now, the Bucks up to a 5.5-point favorite. Total sits about 221.5. Of course, Dana, Miami pulling off the upset in game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about how this was going to be a game that we thought that if Miami pulled this off, it might be a go against the rest of the series for the Toronto Raptors. But you are getting a plus $1.85 back with the Heat. They've already have an 11-point win. Giannis just simply has to be better than he was in game 1. Didn't get to the bucket very much. It was 4 of 12 from the free throw line. And if he is not getting to the bucket, at least he's got to hit his free throws when he does get an opportunity. Did have 18 points, but a minus 14 for Giannis certainly is going to cut it for the Bucks, who really need to be a lot more aggressive in the paint, and they were outscored 25-14 at the free throw line by the Heat in game 1.
Joe, I'm looking at the line move here at open 4. We're seeing up to 6 in some places here. So a lot of bettors out there believing that the Milwaukee Bucks can bounce back here and not only win, but win by over 2 possessions.
Well, Tony, this is a very interesting matchup. Obviously, Dana just touched base, but Miami was the only team in the Eastern Conference that actually won a season series with Milwaukee 2-1. They came out in game 1. Dana mentioned a double-digit victory for them. And I'll be honest, if Milwaukee doesn't come back tonight and bounce back strong, it's going to be too tough to come back 2-0. So I think the general feel here in Vegas is get on Milwaukee. Line open 4, went to 5 right away, 5.5. I did see a 6 somewhere around town earlier today. Probably bet right back down. But, if Milwaukee doesn't come back tonight, they're not in it anymore.
Yeah, 6 looks to me a little bit too strong. I would look to take the points in this one. All right, this is a drive-through. I'm Tony T, joined by Danny Lane and Joe D'Amico. It's time to get going on with the picks. We got American League action. Let's welcome to the show right now Joe Duffy. Joe, how you doing this afternoon?
Well, I'll tell you, the other Joey D saying it is over if Milwaukee loses tonight. Well, we'll see about that. I wouldn't totally count them out, but I'm doing extremely well and looking forward to some NBA and Major League Baseball tonight.
Absolutely. Major League Baseball is hot right now. And, of course, Joe Duffy, you'll find him over at Pick Dogs. And, Joe, you're going to be looking at this American League contest between the Rangers. I'll say it right because I think I was misspelled earlier. Astros are going on tonight. And, of course, Joe, it was the Rangers with that upset win here in Game 1 of this series.
Yeah, and Texas, they've been a terrible road team. They're 4-11, while Houston's been tremendous at home at 14-6. So, of course, what's Joey Bag of Donuts going to say? He's going to be like, you got to go with the home team, right? Well, that is the wrong answer, folks. Again, it's one of my anti-splits angles. It applies, it overlaps, it applies in the NBA, in the NFL, in Major League Baseball. When you do have a team that is substantially better at home than the road team is on the road, in reality, the road team is very good value at plus 148.79 units for a 15.2 return on investment. Now, large divisional dogs under very specific circumstances that applied today are plus 150.27 units. Now, I will admit, the past 2 years, a divisional dog angle hasn't really done all that great, but historically it's good. In fact, favorites have really been a pretty good bet in recent years under a lot of circumstances, but not in this situation. Now, granted, Allard has been atrocious this year. You might say, how can you justify going with him? But there is a reason why we're getting good value here. And pitchers that have a few games under their belt, but still a high ERA, in a sense, the managers are telling you something. They believe that he's much better than his ERA, and he definitely is. The scouting report, it's not like he's considered a spectacular prospect, but he's definitely much better than his numbers this year, so very good value. I like Texas plus the huge number, getting about 180 as the free pick.
That's a big underdog there with Texas. Dana, looking at this game, we're seeing from my screen, I'm showing 42% of the money here on the underdog with Allard, but Allard's got some crooked numbers, some control issues. Javier, a young pitcher for Houston.
Yeah, that was extremely good points because especially with a lot of pitchers not going 7-8 innings, it has taken a while to get stretched out. I mean, their ERAs can balloon up, quite a bit. To the flip side of this is the time of year. I mean, we've seen it over the last 3 seasons where the Houston Astros certainly pick up their game. They're 60-21 over the last 3 years in September, and we know there's a lot of moving dynamics, but you are going against that trend as well. And even last night in the loss, the Astros didn't even know that series was going to be played until Tuesday morning, and it still took the Rangers to extra innings to beat the Astros.
All right, I'm here on Drive Through. I'm Tony T, joined by Dane Lane and Joe Duffy and Joe D'Amico. Joe, we've got a big card tonight, Major League Baseball, 10 games going, NBA and NHL. What do you have going on over at Pick Dogs?
Yeah, we do, and I don't throw my wise guys around recklessly, but tonight I have 5 of them and 2 in the NBA, so make sure you do buy before that 6:30 Eastern start. It's including a conference game of the year, 3 in Major League Baseball, so a much bigger than usual night for me in 2 sports, but especially if you get by 6:30 Eastern time.
Joe, I know you've been a veteran in this industry a long time, very, very solid handicapper, really good data you go through. We've got college football starting, the major conference is starting tomorrow, and of course the NFL a week from now. So how much prep work you're putting into this season?
Well, one of the great things about my database is it allows me to make game-to-game adjustments. So when I do the prep work, it's not so much memorizing the rosters like a lot of people do, because I think it's a lot more about situations than it is about personnel matchups. Because if we're all about personnel matchups, especially in sports like the NBA, you'd see a lot more sweeps and what have you. So I think it has a lot to do with situations. And yeah, during those, 130 days off, I was researching a lot of systems. So in many respects, it could be a blessing in disguise for me because my database is better than ever. Yeah, I missed those 3-4 months of revenue, however long it was, but still, it gave me a lot of time to do much more research, and I've added a lot of systems that I had not had before. So this is going to be our best year yet, I think.
I believe so. All right, check out Joe Duffy over at Big Dogs. He's got his Wise Guy selections up there going off here in about 20 minutes. So get on board with Joe Duffy. Joe, is always great having your show. Have a great week, and we'll talk with you next week.
We will, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, back here on Drive-Thru. I'm going to give you some updates here. What a change in Colorado. Rockies now up 9-6 as they got to the bullpen there of the Giants. So 9-6 now, Rockies up. And, of course, 4-2, the Mets over Baltimore. These are the baseball games that are in progress. And, of course, Dana, a lot of people on that Giants bandwagon yesterday, as we talked about. And, of course, this Mets in Baltimore are already high scoring, but now they're up to the 7th inning, 4-2.
Well, I appreciate your update, Tony, because I sheepishly had the Rockies minus 1.5 plus $1.33 today. So I guess I can actually say that in public now. After the first couple innings, I just was like, what am I thinking? I mean, this Rocky team really has fallen off since their beginning, but good to hear that they have come back again. Also, really good to see that the Baltimore Orioles are making something of themselves, or at least hovering around the 500 mark. They may not make the postseason, but it's always good to see those teams that have not played well in the past. Cross my fingers that the Pirates might be one of those teams at some point. But it's good to see that the Orioles are playing better baseball against the Mets team that really needs to win these games against teams that they are, at least on paper, better than.
All right, let's continue here with the picks. We've got Dana Lane with a game starting at 6:40 Eastern time. So we'll go to Dana now. It's Toronto and Miami. In this one, it's Ryu against Sixto Sanchez. With Toronto road favorites here, about $1.15 in some places. Total sits down to 7. I saw it 7.5, so a lot of under money coming in here. We've seen it juiced up at 7, Dana.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement around the Marlins. I mean, we saw Marte absolutely crush a ball last night. I mean, Starling Marte has been one of the top talents that probably nobody knows about in baseball. And another one is Sixto Sanchez, who will be getting the start tonight for the Marlins. I think we're going to take a little bit of a step back and a little bit of a reality check. I mean, Ryu is certainly not a guy that you overlook. And there's going to be some changes to the Marlins lineup tonight. Aguilar is going to start at first base. Chisholm's going to get his first start. At third base. Aguilar is back in the lineup after some back stiffness. So there is going to be some moving parts to the Marlins lineup tonight. And Ryu, if you followed him in August, I mean, he was absolutely, scorching hot. He has a 1.29 ERA in 5 starts for Toronto. He allowed 1 run or less in all 5 of his starts in August, and he walked just 6 batters in 37 innings. This is not going to be a walkover. Plus, on top of that, you're getting a real nice, juicy plus money on this if you're going to take Toronto in the run line. And if you keep track of these numbers, which I do, the games the one-run games are next to nothing. So in many cases, if you like a team to win outright and you're getting that plus money minus 1.5, you should jump on that as well.
All right, Dana Lane here, and this one, looking at some of the numbers here with the Marlins, a team that struggles hitting lefties at 197, and of course, Sanchez coming off a pretty good outing here against the Rays. What did you take from that where he allowed no runs over 7?
Yeah, like I said, his scouting report and the people that I've talked with, but he's got electric stuff for sure. I don't put a lot of emphasis on starting pitching as much as a lot of other people do, because I also think even especially in this season, especially when you're talking about young pitchers, I really want to see, starting pitching and bullpen. And obviously he's got an electric arm. You'll see that tonight. But guys, young guys, sometimes they get tired going second time through the lineup. And I know there was an impressive win against Tampa Bay. And then sometimes people tend to take what they just saw and put way too much emphasis on the next start. In fact, I like to look for scenarios where a pitcher might go the opposite of his last start, unless you're that top elite pitcher, which he certainly is not yet. I think Ryu, the veteran, I'll take him in this spot over the youngster who's, still trying to get his feet wet.
That's right. Of course, the Marlins bullpen has not been very strong. And, of course, we looked at the Marlins hitting left-handers just 197, so that's going in your favor there, Dana. All right, here on the drive-thru, Tony T joined by Joe D'Amico and Dana Lane. Wall-to-wall picks here, guys, up to the top of the hour. And, Dana, what you got going on over at Pig Dogs? Man, I go right to the top of the page. I see you right at the top of the leaderboards.
Yeah, fortunate enough to have a really good start in baseball. I was a little worried about this Rocky game, so that's off the board. But we still have the Chicago Cubs, Pittsburgh Pirates available, and of course our get-out game tonight between the Arizona Diamondbacks and Los Angeles Dodgers.
All right, so check out Dana Lane over at Pick Dogs. He's doing fantastic work up there. And of course, they're following all the leaderboards and pick up his game right now. I see he's got a get out game that late night Diamondbacks and Dodgers. So pick him up over there, doing very, very strong. Dana, I want to ask you here as we continue here on the drive-through, more free picks coming. We got just one NHL game going with Colorado Dallas at 8 Eastern time. We got the Avalanche favorite here about $1.25 to $1.15. Actually, it's $1.15 now. Total sits at $6.
Yeah, interesting in this game. I mean, up until showtime, there was some speculation about who was actually going to get the start for the Avalanche. I didn't know if they were going to go to Hutchinson, who was their third string starter. There were some reports. Some guys I've talked to today said that maybe Philip Grubauer will get the start. Usually you'll be able to tell who's going to start by first goaltender off after practice. I didn't get any reports in relation to that. But I can tell you that the Superbook here in town has taken some pretty large amounts of wagers on the Colorado Avalanche, as you would imagine. But the sharp money is still on Dallas with the plus money over for the public money as well. 85% of the tickets written have been on the over. So it's going to be interesting to see who starts in net tonight. Earlier on, we thought it was going to be Hutchinson and Bishop. That got taken off the board. But we do think that, obviously it's, that goaltending matchup is everything, especially if you're betting totals. But I wouldn't lean on Hutchinson if we get word that he's going to get the start.
All right, Dana Lane here, join us here on the drive-through with Joe D'Amico and Tony T. All right, more picks coming. Let's go. Joe D'Amico up next. Joe, you're going to be looking at a really good pitching matchup tonight as we got Washington Scherzer against Philadelphia Wheeler. Right now, Washington is a short favorite, about $1.10 in some places. Total sits here at 8.5. What do you say?
Yeah, well, I'm very happy about my free games here on the Pick Dog Show. The last 3 shows giving out 3 blowout winners in baseball. As a matter of fact, I think somebody on this panel owes me a dinner, and they better not be taking me to Denny's and telling them it's my birthday. That's all I'm saying. Yes, as Tony mentioned, folks, the NL East matchup, Nationals, Phillies. I see most of the money here in Vegas coming in on Washington and Scherzer. This makes me like Philly with Wheeler even more, and here's why, folks. The Phillies are running red hot, winning 7 of their last 8, including games 1 and 2 of this series, while the Nationals, guys, they are as cold as Vanilla Ice's career. They've dropped 4 straight, 7 of their last 8. The Phillies, guys, have taken all 4 meetings in this division rivalry in 2020. Scherzer, guys, he's doing well, 3-1 with a 3.86. But, folks, Zach Wheeler, equally impressive, 3-0 with a 2.58 mark. We talked pitchers. I want to talk bats now. Philly averages almost a full run per game more than does Washington. They've got more power, and when they're on base, they are one of the best base-stealing teams in baseball. I want to talk some numbers, folks. Nationals, 0-4 the last 4 on the road, 0-5 the last 5 versus right-handers, 0-5 the last 5 versus the NL East. Philly, 7-1 the last 8 at home, 4-0 the last 4 versus right-handed starters, 7-1 the last 8 in the division. Guys, take the home team Phillies here, plus the $1, $5, $10. You're getting them plus a little bit at home with a hot team. It'll get you the money, my friends. I promise you that.
All right, that's Joe D'Amico here on the drive-through. Dana, your thoughts here on Scherzer? It's been a little roughed up. The walks are up, the hard contact's up, the home runs up, and we're seeing really a short price here on Scherzer, and then you can see the numbers.
Yeah, I agree with Joe on this, although I'm not going to have an official position on this because there's nothing about the numbers that make me really want to get involved. In fact, I'm still trying to determine, at least on the road, what national team that we have here, because going in, last weekend they had 38 hits in their 3-game series against Boston. Yes, I know it's Boston, but they do have a league's best 312 average on the road. And then they, last night they were limited to just 4 hits and 11 in game 1, but just 4 last night. So I'm just trying to, with Wheeler on the mound and Scherzer on the mound, I mean, there's no real clear feel for how I think this is going to go. So normally, if I feel that way, I just kind of stay away from the game. But you're right about that, Tony. Scherzer, when he's usually on the mound, he's kind of an automatic play, at least on a run line. But it's just there's that feeling in my gut about Scherzer this year that he's not quite the automatic go-to that he has been in the past.
Yeah, that's the case too, and of course the Nationals. This is a team that a lot of lost a lot of players from last season, but they've lost 7 of 8, getting shut out in the opener of this series. I guess I'm going to be on with Joe and Dana there, and liking that Phillies team at plus 105. All right, we'll continue here on the drive-through. Tony T, Dana Lane, and Joe D'Amico. A lot more free picks coming up. We're going to take you to the top of the hour. A lot of our pick dogs are on deck, ready to deliver some more picks. Joe, I know gaming today, you recently covered the trade deadline. I know you have some opinions about some of the winners and losers.
Well, we talked about trade deadline in a few of the shows over the past week, and many of the names I had spoken about are now wearing new uniforms this week. But there were quite a few surprises, certainly some trade winners and some trade losers. To me, folks, no team improved in every area as much as the Padres. They picked up right-handers, Clevenger, Rosenthal, Adams, and Altavilla. I love that name, Altavilla and Williams. They picked up Mitch Moreland. They picked up a couple of catchers in Castro and Nola. They picked up an outfielder in Allen. The Reds, which we all know are dearly underachieving, they added right-hander Archie Bradley and an outfielder in Brian Goodwin. With the Yankees sliding in the AL East, the Blue Jays made some big moves. Left-hander Robbie Ray, right-hander Taijuan Walker and Stripling. They've got a first baseman /DH in Vogelback, another infielder in Villar. Fighting for the AL Central's top spot, the Indians. They certainly bolstered their team. They got Austin Hedges as a catcher. They got a first baseman /outfielder in Naylor, a right-hander in Quantrill, a shortstop in Arias, an infielder in Miller, and a left-hander in Cantillo. The Cubs beefed up their squad. They got a DH in Martinez, an outfielder in Maben. They got picked up 2 left-handers, Chafin and Osich. Joe Girardi and the Phillies should improve with the acquisition of 4 right-handers, Workman, Hembry, Phelps, and Hale. The Marlins, Dana mentioned earlier about this guy, the best position player out there right now that was picked up in the trade deadline. They picked up Sterling Marte, and it may not seem like much right now, folks, but the Red Sox accomplished quite a bit. They traded some big names, got rid of some big paychecks, and they added a lot to their farm system. They may not look like anything right now. Down the road, this will help the Red Sox with some smart moves, what they did. In my opinion, there were a few teams that could have bettered themselves with a new face or two and did not. They stood pat. The Brewers, I want to touch base on them real quick. The Brewers, which have a shot at the postseason, did not look to beef up their ailing offense. The Astros desperately need help in their bullpen. The Braves need some temporary help until their pitching staff gets healthy. The Yankees, guys, they need at least one solid pitcher and a couple of bats until their power comes back and gets healthy. And I want to talk right now, the Rays. I know the Rays are atop the AL East, but maybe they're just atop the AL East because they've been dominating the Yankees, who are so banged up. They have 11 injured pitchers, 5 of which are gone for the remainder of the season. And I think they could have picked up something more because they may have to face some other teams beside the Yankees down the road. Obviously, there were some more winners and losers, but to me, these were some of the biggest winners, some of the biggest losers, and some of the teams that really stumped me that should have made a move. They didn't have to go for major names, but they could have bolstered their lineups, could have bolstered their pitching staffs, and some of those teams did not. I mean, the Brewers really surprised me because they're really hurting, and they have a shot at the playoffs. They did not, but those are some of the winners and losers and some of the teams that really stumped me in this trade deadline.
Dana, last year, I know Greinke made all the headlines, but I thought the best move last year was getting for Arizona, getting Zach Gallen. That was a fantastic move for Arizona for the future, long term. Any under the radar deals out there, Dana, that caught your attention in the trade deadline?
Well, I mean, just going on what Joe said, I mean, I think in the end, I think we're going to look at Mitch Moreland going to San Diego. I think that's going to be a huge pickup for them. I have no idea what the Angels were doing. I can only assume that they were shopping Dylan Bundy, but he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. He's having arguably one of his better years in a shortened year, but yet they weren't unable to unload him. I thought, going back to San Diego, I mean, A.J. Preller is an absolute rock star. I mean, he only had to give up one of his top 100 prospects to get a large return. Of course, personally, I'm not happy with the way the Pirates handle things. I thought They could have gotten rid of Joe Musgrove. Musgrove was on the IL. As a matter of fact, he was real close to going to Toronto, but that deal fell through. They went in another direction, so Musgrove is still in Pittsburgh. And, for me, you look at David Phelps getting picked up for the Phillies. I mean, I think that's an underrated pickup as well. That Philadelphia bullpen went from being horrific, like one of those, like the Nationals were last year, to being almost the strength of the team. And I think David Phelps, who played for Joe Girardi 2012 through 14, I think he knows exactly what he's getting with them. And I think the Phillies have become a better team for it.
All right, that's Dana Lane. I'm with Joe D'Amico, with Tony T here on the drive-through, guys. More free picks coming. Bottom of the hour, we're going to take it now to the top of the hour and get you ready with a lot more free picks. And right now, let's bring in one of the puck dogs. You hear him on this show, on the morning show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time here on the Pick Dogs YouTube channel. Rob Zawacki. Rob, how you doing this afternoon? We need your volume there, buddy.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I muted myself. So, doing good this afternoon. How's everybody else doing?
Oh, we're doing great. Rod, I know this is a game I'm excited about, this Rays and Yankees contest. So a lot of what can we say with the Chapman beaning? There wasn't a beaning, it was a near beating. Back in the old days, you didn't start a fight until someone actually got hit. But if you get close these days, they're coming out for blood, huh?
Yeah, exactly. They cut it real close these days, and then the war starts, and then they try not to have the brouhaha with the COVID. You got to be within 6 feet.
No, exactly. You got to be within 6 feet here of everybody. And I just wanted to make note here about the game you're looking at here with the Rays and the Yankees. It should be a pretty good one here. The Rays. We're dominating the Yankees this year, and then we got the Yankees come in, but we got Charlie Morton and Montgomery going at 7 Eastern time with Montgomery and the Yankees favored at -128. Total sits at 9.
For me in this one, I think we're going to go with the over 9. I think we can easily get over that. We got Morton pitching. He's got an ERA of 5.4. You got Montgomery pitching for the Yankees. He's got an ERA of 4.4. That gives you a combined ERA for the starters of over 10 here. And then you go look at the bullpens. The Rays bullpen, they're averaging 3.97 ERA a game. Yankees bullpens at 4.36. There's another 8 runs right there. So we're looking at ERAs over 18. And then another thing that definitely pushed me over even farther was you look at the umpire. Torres Carlos is umping this game, and in 30 games this year, he's 21-9 to the over when he's umping games. So the over is hitting at over 70% when he's behind the plate. So give me the over 9 here, Yankees and Rays.
All right, Rod Zawacki here on the Pick Dogs drive-through show here likes the over in this one. It's Morton on the mound against Montgomery. We'll ask Dana Lane here your thoughts here with the Yankees and their injuries here with Stanton, Torres. They're dealing there with some injuries. Judge as well, and the team a little slumping at the plate past 7 days.
Yeah, not only that, Chapman's going to be suspended for 3 games because of their dust up last night. Kevin Cash is going to get a game, and of course Chapman can appeal that, which I'm sure he's going to. One thing, to your point, Charlie Morton tonight, if you're talking about bullpens, Morton's only going to throw 40 to 50 pitches tonight. So you're definitely going to get into that Tampa bullpen tonight, which, speaks to the over as well. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the aftermath of last night because, honestly, there was no reason for Chapman to be, throwing at Mike Brosseau's head in a game where they were winning and he was trying to close it out. There was no that. But after 2-7 against the Rays, I guess you're a little bit frustrated. For me, I wouldn't go. The total obviously makes perfect sense, but I'd be on Tampa Bay tonight, except for that number being a little bit high because I want to get the 1.5. But it's just not a number I want to be invested in. But I do like the over in this because your starters are probably going to be out of the game at least by the 6th inning.
Rod, also you're looking at the over. You talked about some of those bullpen stats. You're always got to be concerned now with all these teams playing these double headers and what that does to the bullpen.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're definitely going to have more. Well, if you can get a good starter in one of these double header games, you might not even have to use your bullpen. Your starter can go the whole game and save your bullpen on some of these 7-inning double header games.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's probably what some of the thought going into making that decision to make it 7 innings, because then you eliminate some of those bullpen guys. Hey, I'm looking over at Pick Dogs, Rod. I know you're doing very well. What you got going up on the site?
Today I've got a hump day pass. I got 3 games going in the MLB. I got 2 in the NBA and 2 on the ice. Love this action tonight. I love today's card. I probably could have put more on there, but I limited myself to just those 7.
All right. You kept it at 7. Of course, tomorrow we got some pretty good closeouts in the NHL. You'll listen to Rod tomorrow on the morning show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. He's joined by Mitch, as well as Brian Biller and Chris Ruffalo, one of the Big Dogs. You'll listen to a little later in the show. We'll have some more free picks coming. So that morning show gets everyone ready for the day.
We do, yeah. We get everybody going, start to kick your day off, go through the whole card, get everybody a pick on our early leans and stuff here.
All right. Very good. Rod, it's always great having your show. Have a great day. We'll talk to you down the line. And, of course, we'll be listening to you tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time on the Pick Dogs Morning Show.
Just one little quick note.
Sure.
Yes, I won't be at the Days.
All right. All right. Very good. He will not be at the Denny's. Thank you very much, Rod. Have a good day. All right. All right, back here with Dana Lane and Joe D'Amico here on the drive-thru. And, of course, we're at the bottom of the hour, and it's now time to bring back Joe. Joe, I know we see you over at the Pick Dogs side. I know you've got a lot of action going on. What's happening at Pick Dogs?
Tony, I'm very excited about Pick Dogs. I'm very excited about the fans and the followers there. It seems every show that I'm on, I'm getting more and more people following me, picking up my winners. Tonight, I have 3 huge baseball winners all going off late. I have my AL West top play, my interleague best bet, and my late info move. I didn't come in with this play until later on in the day. Each is $25 right over at Pick Dogs. Tonight, I will go 3-0. I do want to touch base real quick. Sports fans, 6 college football games between Thursday and Monday. As a multi-time college and pro football handicapping champion, I'm very excited. This will be my very best, my most profitable, my most enjoyable season ever. I've done my due diligence to make sure all my contacts for injuries and live movements are in line. Go to Pick Dogs right now. Grab either an NCAA, an NFL, or a combo seasonal discounted package. Lock in for this season, because anyone that follows me will have the most profitable and enjoyable football campaign you could ever dream of. But as for short term tonight, 3 MLB winners, go to Pick Dogs, $25 a piece. You can, after you go 3-0, you name your next born after me, I promise you.
All right, do that. Joe D'Amico over at Pick Dogs, doing very well on the website. He's with us here on the drive-thru show every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and we get you ready for the game's action with all the Pick Dogs. There's still a lot more free picks coming up. And here on the show, let's keep the ball rolling here. We're going to bring on one of the Pick Dogs, and that's Chris Ruffalo. You'll hear him on the morning show with Mitch, Rod, and Brian Biller. Chris, how you doing this evening?
Well, I'm getting some aloe vera for how bad the Rockies and the Giants game just burned me. But you know what? It's part of the game. We're going to move on this evening. I'm excited. I'm loving tonight's card as well.
Yeah, cards for tonight looks very, very good. I know you're gonna keep it here in NL West, an NL West team, right? It wouldn't be a segment with Chris without someone from the NL West, right?
I know. Spoiler alert. I like the NL West, but we're talking about the Padres and what they did at the trade deadline and how many moves they really made. I'll tell you, the one team that I thought could have made a couple moves themselves were the Los Angeles Angels. I mean, this is a team that's done nothing but disappoint from the start. You bring in another high contract with Anthony Rendon in the offseason, put him next to Mike Trout, and what happens? You have a team that's playing 300 ball at the midway point of the season when a lot of these people had the Angels at the top of the division at this point, probably as a futures bet as well to win the division. That just hasn't been the case. And tonight, Julio Teheran for the Angels going. And I mean, I know it's a small sample size considering he's only started 4 games this year. But you look at what he's got. He's got a whip of almost 1.7, almost 12 hits per 9 innings, 2 of the highest averages of his career so far. He's got a 15.1 ERA at home this season. On the other side, Dinelson Lamet for the Padres, he's had a history of gassing himself out. This is a guy that can throw 100. He's only allowing 125 against his sinker this year in terms of a batting average. He's not the guy that's he's gonna go 5 or 6 innings for you. He's gone, giving up 2 runs or less. I think that's enough tonight, especially with the way the Padres are hitting the ball, with the talents in that lineup. I like the Padres on the run line here.
All right, Chris Ruffalo from Pick Dogs. You hear him on the morning show. He likes the Padres on the run line. I'm going to ask Dana here your thoughts here on this Teheran. He's an established pitcher. Is it change of scenery? Is it Madden? What's happening with this pitcher who actually was a pretty good home pitcher in his days with Atlanta? Dana? Do we have Dana late?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the encouraging things for him before we – can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Of course.
Go ahead. Talk. You're fine. You're fine, Dana.
Okay. Oh, okay. I thought you guys – okay. All right, well, it's around as far as he's concerned. Issues when able to his two-seamer or throw me the way he was used to in Atlanta. And word is out of his bullpen sessions that his two-seamer.
Well, sorry, Dana. Looks like we kind of cut your audio off a little bit. So let's bring it back to Chris here. Your thoughts here with this Teheran. I watched him in Atlanta. And I got to tell you, he was kind of a bet-on pitcher when he was at home. But I don't know if it's his change of scenery, the mound, Madden. But, of course, the lineup behind him. This Angels team has just been a disappointment altogether.
And, I mean, you see what the Angels are doing. Like, there were rumors around that, they traded Tommy La Stella. That was a go. But then, as a Toronto fan, I can tell you, we were looking at Andrelton Simmons, too. So that tells me that, even with Trout, Rendon, when they're still trying to shop off a lot of their top players, that this team's not where they want to be this season. And even with Joe Madden leading the charge, who's primarily been a winner as a manager, that they're starting to lose faith on this season. And then I think it's starting to spread throughout the lineup. Guys are sort of getting they're getting down on themselves a little bit. Even as professionals, we can say, oh yeah, you know what? Everybody wants to win, but not everybody does. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And, of course, one thing that's haunted this Angel team over the past several years has been their starting rotation. These kids just kept injury, and then they have to bring up these guys from the minors who aren't ready. And you look at some of their numbers in the minors, you say, what is he doing? Matt Sandoval, there's a Suarez, some of these guys just scratch their heads. And I can just imagine what Madden's going through having to bring these guys to the mound.
Yeah, perfect example of that. I've had a couple Angels pitchers that have been auto-fade this season for me. And it's worked like a charm. Patrick Sandoval, 0-7 career record. Jose Suarez came in after his first start with an ERA around 33. I know those are small sample sizes, but early on the season, if you can't, you got to get into a groove early, and if you can't, it'll hang with you for a couple of starts. And in a condensed 60-game season, that's not what you're looking for in terms of a results-based standpoint.
No question about that. All right, Chris, I know we're getting close to the top of the hour, and I'm checking you out over at Pick Dogs. I know you got something going on. What can the people pick up from you tonight at the site?
Well, quick backstory. I was out at the grocery store last night, and I had a guy in front of me, and he said, man, I can't wait to get over hump day. And I said, well, what's going to get you over hump day? He said, this 6-pack in my hand right here. That inspired me for today for Wealthy Wednesday. 6-pack of baseball games that I really like. I'm going to throw in a top NHL play in there as well. All 7 of those games, $29.95.
All right, check him out. Chris Ruffalo. You see him at the top of the leaderboards over at Pick Dogs Premium section. Pick up his package right now. And, of course, Chris, we can hear you 10:30 a.m. Eastern time over on the morning show on the Pick Dogs YouTube channel. And, of course, it's you, Mitch, Rod, Brian Bittler go at it. And I know you guys cover an entire board, all the games. We cover college football tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to have college football as well as NBA, NHL, small MLB card, but it's quality over quantity tomorrow, and we have a lot of fun with that morning show. Sometimes we go at each other, but that's why I keep my hair short so I don't pull it out. You know what I mean?
Oh, I hear what you're saying. Okay, next week we'll be talking NFL. How much NFL prep have you done for this season?
You know what? And it's like Dana was saying earlier. And Joe Duffy as well. When we had this break, it sort of gave us a chance to sort of step back and there's nothing going on for 4 months. So what are we going to do? Steel's going to sharpen steel. We're going to get ourselves ready. And it's given us a chance to sort of take a step back, take a look, and see what works, see what doesn't. And then maybe if we implement something new, gives us just a fresh vision as to what's on the board. I'm pumped for this season. I'm ready to go. I've been ready to go for the last month. And this is the most confident I think I've ever been going into a season that I can ever remember.
Awesome. All right, we'll check them out. Chris Ruffalo, pick up a season pass right now. That Pig Dogs football is coming, guys. Believe it or not. I know it's NFL. You're watching NBA and NHL playoffs, but football is a week away, at least the NFL. So check them out at Pig Dogs. All right, Chris, it's always great having you show. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and we'll listen to you again in the morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time with Mitch and the guys.
Absolutely, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Have a great night, Chris.
All right, coming back here with Dana Lane and Joe D'Amico here on the drive-thru. I wanted to get your thoughts. I know you were getting cut off a little bit with this Angel team.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just going to make a point about Turan. He really rides off his two-seamer, and by all accounts, he has a short sample size because he went to the bullpen for a while. By all accounts, that two-seamer's feeling real good to him again, the way it did in Atlanta. Even listening to his comments, he speaks with a certain confidence that he hasn't had in quite a while. So, he's a two-time All-Star. I'm not overlooking him. And by the way, Tatis and Trout get to be on the same field together for the first time, and Mike Trout has a little bit of something to prove because he has not been playing well as of late. Of course, his average has gone down a little bit, but I think the Angels come into this a superstar with something to prove and a starting pitcher that just wants to get back to his ways in Atlanta. And keep in mind too, this is a free agent year for him, so time is running out for him to get another paycheck.
Absolutely. And we look at Dinelson Lamet. He's only gone 5 innings in each of his past 2 starts. And then when you look at that Padres road ERA, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, I love San Diego. I don't think they're better than the Dodgers, but I think they're about a year away from being a super team for sure. But these home road splits, Tony, like you brought up, you really got to know, what you're dealing with because they're going on the road with teams that I have in the past. I know there's a completely different process. Going road, you're in a different place. So yeah, home road splits are very when you're doing your handicapping.
All right, that's the drive-through here on Pick Dogs YouTube channel. I'm Tony T, joined by Dane Lane and Joe D'Amico. More picks coming, and let's go bring one in right now. It's we go welcome El Ninos to the party here. El, how you doing? Of course, your Lakers trying to wait for your opponent in the next round, huh?
Yeah, well, that's what we got to deal with when we win so fast. But, we'll take the rest, though. We can't complain there.
Yeah, El Nino's a big Laker fan, of course, here as we got him on the show. I know, El, you're going to be looking at this game between the Tigers and the Brewers for this evening action.
Yeah, Tigers, game 2 of their little 2-game mini-series against the Brewers. They've looked great lately. After a slow start to their season, they're on a 6-game winning streak now. Still coming in as huge dogs into this one with probably their best pitcher on the mound. He struggled a bit with his command lately, but other than that, he's been pretty good. Tigers are 8-6 on the road. The Brewers, they've been mediocre at best and just 7-10 at home this year. They just haven't looked the same this year. Maybe Kane opting out has a little something to do with it, but they still have a lot of big names to their lineup that should be able to wake up at any time, but, hasn't really been doing much of that lately. Hauser was also off to a great start this season, but has given up 15 runs in his last 4 starts, and will be going up against a lineup that's hitting the ball really well lately. So I see this as another good spot for the Tigers. Of course, they're not going to win them all, but why not go for another win here with a good pitcher on the mound, and we're getting a lot of value on them, so I'm taking the shot on the Tigers at plus 160.
All right, Dane Lane, that Tiger play. I think it's hard to argue with Al on this one, the way Hauser looked and the way Detroit's hitting.
Yeah, I don't have what it takes to go plus 160 on them, but I certainly will lay the 40 cents and get the 1.5 just because I need that little bit of insurance. That's the insecurity in me, but Turnbull was fantastic against the Cubs. If you remember, he went into the The 6 struck out 5. That was about a week ago. That was his 3rd victory. And he was pulled after 2 innings in his previous start. But like we said, you just kind of forget what you saw. And a lot of these pitchers are they throwing hard? Has their velocity gone a little bit? Are they hitting their spots? Or is the option hitting their pitches? A lot of times you can have a great outing on paper. At least your line score looks like you're not, but you're still throwing 95, 96. May have missed spots that gave you the loss. I like in this situation. Like I said, I'm not going to take the 160, but I need the run and a half. But I completely agree with Al on this.
Yeah, I can't argue that. You look at the Brewers only hitting 199 against righties, and how is there a pitcher that's been crushed by the home run ball? Hard contact is over 40%. Al, I think you're on the right side there with this one. Hey, Al, why don't you let everybody know over at Pick Dogs what you got going on? I know you're going to have a really good season.
Yeah, doing all right lately, and got as Rod said, it's a great card tonight. I got 6 MLB picks and 1 NBA play, so they got them all in the 7-pack too. If you want to check that out, I really love these plays tonight. Hope to keep on building on that.
All right, now of course I know a lot of people like football, and Joe, you want to chime in?
Sure, I think about football or baseball. What do you want me to chime in on, Tony?
Whatever you want to chime in with that.
I'm excited about all the picks that our panel is giving out today. I like Dana's play on the Blue Jay game. I like Rod's play on the over in the Yankee game. Al, Tigers, great play. I mean, they're playing well. How do you not go against them, especially getting a line like that? Joe Duffy's on the Rangers. And Chris on the San Diego on the run line. I think that this panel has a lot of different angles, and I'm always excited to hear what everybody else has, because I respect everybody in the panel. I'm excited about baseball. Obviously, we're more than halfway through with the season, with the regular season. I'm excited to see, with these trades that happened over the last few days, how these newly acquired players are going to help shape the run for the playoffs and going past that. As far as NBA goes, I think it's going to be a crazy season. A crazy rest of the season. NHL, I'm going to leave that to Dana's hands. He's my NHL guru. But I am really excited, looking forward to college football tomorrow through Monday and then the whole season. I know that's not the most exciting games this upcoming week. I know that for the next few weeks, we're getting our feet wet until I believe the 3rd week of this month. We're going to start seeing some conference matchups in college where the excitement really picks up. But the NFL, man, we got a Thursday game a week from tomorrow, and we got a full slate the following Sunday. A couple of Monday night games to kick off the Monday night campaign. I think this is going to be an amazing season. I think that sports, not just in general, brings community together. I think this country needs that. I think that making money makes us all feel good. So when we follow geniuses like Dana, Al, myself, and you, the rest of the guys on the panel, and the followers out there are going to make some money, it makes for an enjoyable time. So follow us, make some money, guys. This is what we do. While farmers are sleeping, I'm awake doing my due diligence, okay, guys? What the Army, there's a saying, what the Army does more before 6 a.m. than you do all day. I do more before 6 a.m. than the Army does all day to make sure I stay ahead of the game. In this college and pro football season, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is again. I'll win some more championships. I'm honored to be alongside Dana, Al, yourself, some of the other guys on this show on Pick Dog site. But this is going to be a great season, both college and pro football, and I'm looking forward to it.
Al, I know you're over in Florida, and I just want to get your thoughts here about some of the NFL teams. I know you go to Tampa Bay games, go to a lot of games out there. What's the feel for the Florida teams this year?
Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to go to many games this year, but Bucks got a big upgrade, so they're all excited about that over here, and should be interesting to see what they can do with their new players. Brady, Gronk, should be interesting. They know each other well. It's a big upgrade from Winston, looking forward to that. Obviously, I'm a Raiders fan myself. I know they moved over to Vegas now, but still rooting for them. They've moved around before. We're still rooting for the Raiders. It's been tough, but a lot of people expect good things from them this season. So let's see what they can do too.
Absolutely. Al, what you got going on over at Pick Dogs?
Yeah, again, I got 6 MLB plays and 1 in the NBA.
All right,
All in
so
one pack, too. If you
all-
want to check that out.
There you go. It's a big pack there from El Nino. 6 MLB and an NBA. Pick them up. 7 best bets on the day over at Pick Dogs. Al, as always, great having your show. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks again. Thanks you too, and thanks again for having me.
All right, anytime. All right, here back with the group, Tony T, Dana Lane, and Joe D'Amico. We'll take it to the top of the hour. We got another pick coming up here in just a little bit. I want to ask you and Dana here about the late night game NBA. Should be. This is going to be the game of the night as we got OKC and Houston going at it. And right now, Houston favored 5.5 in some places, some 5s I'm seeing. Total sits at 217. Of course, this is game 7.
Yeah, it looks that way right now. I'm looking at a 5. I just first want to say, Joe, I wish I could carry you around all day. So when it picked me up, I could just take you out and you could tell me how great I am about everything. But Joe, you're the best.
All day long. You are great. You are the best. I love being on the show with you. I'm sorry, but buddy, I'm just proud to be here with you, Tony, the rest of the guys for Pick Dogs. We're going to have a great football campaign. I'm really looking forward to football right now. I know that we're all in the hockey, basketball, and baseball mode, but I'm really looking forward to football. I want to see college sports. I want to see the pros, week to week. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about all of it for all of us and all the people that follow us here at Pick Dogs.
No doubt about that. All right, guys, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to comment on the OKC game. I mean, you get an OKC plus $1.73, and Tony, you have to really kind of question if the Rockets have that championship heart. I mean, they had a 6-point lead with 2 minutes to go in the last game. Westbrook and Harden couldn't finish that game off. And certainly when you talk about championship desire, it's hard to believe that anybody has it more than Chris Paul at this point. He put his team on his back and willed them to victory. And this is also, you have to remember too, this is Chris Paul versus Russell Westbrook, and in some cases, it's organization versus organization, because if you go back to that
looks like we're losing Dana there. We lost his audio. All right. Well, I think Dana is referring to the trade from Chris Paul, and there could be a bit of a chip on his shoulder there. And I see that's the direction.
They gave up a first.
Yeah, we did. All right, Dana, we're gonna have to cut the mic there. It's just the audio is just unbearable. All right, guys, let's go on to the free pick of the day. I'll have mine for you. We're gonna look at this Dodger and Diamondback contest, a late night game over at Dodger Stadium. It's Gallen against Buehler. I'm going to go under the total of 8 runs in this one. Gallen has put up some fantastic numbers this year, but Walker Buehler's, I said this many times, Walker Buehler is a different pitcher at Dodger Stadium. He has more confidence. He seems to be in more command when he's at Dodger Stadium. And Arizona Diamondbacks lineup is they're just not producing runs. They're not hitting. So let's go under 8 here. You got a really good starter here for Arizona. Gallen on the mound against Buehler, who I believe is a much better pitcher at home. His ERA run lower at home. More strikeouts, less walks on that rubber there at Dodger Stadium. So I'm going to look at the under in Arizona and the LA Dodgers. I have a 3-pack right now at Pick Dog's Eyes, so you can go over there and check it out. All right, let's go ahead and bring on Joe D'Amico and Dana. I think we lost Dana there for a second, but Joe, looking here as we close out the day here in sports, a lot of this NBA action out here has got to be pretty exciting here in Vegas, getting to Game 7 with OKC and Houston.
Oh, absolutely. I think the fans and the sports bettors are getting exactly what they want. Dana mentioned some great points, obviously, before we lost his audio. Always makes some great points. This Oklahoma City-Houston thing, Dana mentioned franchise against franchise, Westbrook against Paul. I personally think, I'm just saying, Chris Paul's been a great player since he's come into the league, but I think he's going to take it to another level, of late and in so far in the postseason, especially in this round against Houston. Houston, they're no slouches. They're very good. The 5.5 does scare me here personally. I stood away from this game tonight. I'm going to watch it as a spectator and as a fan. But I know there was a lot of action very early today in Vegas. I saw money coming in on both sides. I'll be honest with you. And I saw, as I went through a couple different sportsbooks, I saw people talking about both sides. So obviously that's why it's still around about 5.5. It's going to stay there. But this, to me, as a fan and as a sports bettor, I stood away from it. But as a fan, this, to me, is what it's all about in the NBA. A Game 7, 2 great teams. Dana made some great points. Does Houston have the heart? CP3, Russell Westbrook, Oklahoma City, Houston. It's going to be just a great, great game, I'll be honest with you. I'm looking forward to watching it as a sports fan.
I am too. It should be a great game. I like the dog. I'll take the 5.5. Shop your line. There's some 5.5s out there with OKC. Chris Paul, he's finding his spot on the court. And we'll see if Houston loses. D'Antoni maybe coach in a different city next year. Joe, could either be Brooklyn. There's talks of other teams that will be in the sweepstakes here, and maybe Indiana for D'Antoni.
Well, obviously, there's a few teams out there in need of good coaching. He's got a great, resume. He's won some big games and he's got some titles. So, he's definitely. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes, Tony. The off season is always just fun to watch and to see what happens. But you made some great points, and I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up in one of those two places. They need a big name coach. They need to get something going. There's talent on the two teams that you mentioned, Indiana and Brooklyn. They're just not getting it done, and they need to get it done.
All right, guys, you're listening to the Drive-Thru every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, with a bunch of free picks from all the pick dogs. Again, another great show. Let's bring them on. Let's give you guys the final goodbyes for tonight. And let's give a wave to the crowd out there. It's time to watch the games and win your bets. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, mention the guys on the morning show. We're back here at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Talk to you guys tomorrow.